Let's get the movie stuff out of the way, man. I know we late to this party here, Ricardo. You saw this like 2 weeks ago, and I guess you probably forgot it by the time you came home. But
Yeah.
Moonfall, by the latest epic quote unquote from Roland Emmerich, right?
Right.
I mean, who was always make joke and say, he's the king of like disaster porn. So,
Right.
yeah, take it away, Moonfall. What was it about,
Right.
and
So
what were
yeah.
your
Yeah.
honest
Right.
opinion?
Right. So Roland Emmerich. Right. So everybody make the joke. He's Michael Bay gay cousin. The usual bullshit. Right. Right, normal thing, right? This was pretty weak. I don't think this was it wasn't anywhere near as interesting or engaging as any of this other stuff. Like the last big disaster movie he tried to do was what, 2012, right? He tried to effectively top himself
Yeah.
with that.
Which I actually saw twice in theaters. Like it's dumb. It's a really dumb movie, but
Right.
my God, is it an entertaining movie? I mean, it's not as great as see Independence Day, right? But still, given the concept, it was like, all right, cool, we roll with it.
Yeah, Independence Day is one of those that hold up. I feel still in terms of like just balancing entertainment, but just good storytelling in general and characterization. This was just like I didn't think it would have been as interesting as what it should have been. And when you find out what's going on in terms of the big sci-fi conceit, it's pretty stupid. Like it's not that interesting. It's one of those things that you clearly tell that he just rip off from a bunch of games and stuff that came out years ago.
And games, you say?
Yeah, it's just such generic sci-fi filler, like as a story. Like, oh, that what you're going for? Okay, that nowhere near as interesting as you trying to see. It is though. That's all I feel
about. What is it? What is it about? In a nutshell.
Okay, so what's that boy named from Aquaman brother.
Patrick Wilson, right?
Right, right. So, yeah. So he basically had some weird event that happened to him, years ago in the past. Like I forget which year it was. It's 2012 or something like that. But he basically had something.
It'd be funny if it was 2012, huh?
Right. It's like I forget what year it was, but it was like before now. And so he got attacked by this thing in space, and he's not sure what the hell going on, and it kind of weird what happened to him, and we believe him, and it's a whole thing, right? And then the time pass, and then some reason or the other, the moon start like causing a set of issues, and then you realize the moon falling and coming to Earth and going to crash into Earth, and well, that'll be the most disastrous thing ever. Now, here's the thing: if they had it just as that, and they kept everything like, well, it may have something extra going on with that or something like that, and they left it there, it would have been a fine movie. Because just the moon crashing into Earth would have been like disastrous enough. Like, what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
So, right. But no, that's not what they do. This man gone full hollow Earth theory bullshit with it. Well, not even hollow Earth, but more hollow moon, right? You find out, like, okay, so spoilers for the movie now at this point, right?
Yes, it's like
I don't want to get into anything.
So drop them.
I don't want to get into anything else. It's usual family drama, and then another guy and Michael Pena was in this for some reason, and another family drama. And Halle Berry is a scientist, and the two of them, you're not sure they have a kind of love thing going on. You're not really sure what's going on, and all of that. Anyway, eventually you find out what the hell going on with respect to the moon itself, and you find out the moon is hollow. And not only moon is hollow, but it's a construct designed to protect us from other alien invaders, because apparently sometime in the distant past, humans come back and seed Earth to protect us from these artificial intelligence. And the purpose of the moon is to protect us, because our AI inside the moon does protect us against artificial intelligence that was wanted to destroy us in the ancient past. That is what's going on. Yeah, it does sound like a bunch of salad nonsense.
So it's him kind of bringing back a little bit of Stargate then. A little
Stargate, ancient alien stuff. Right. It's terrible. Like, none of it worked or fell flat. It wasn't interesting or engaging. And yeah, I was just bored as hell with all of this. None of it was engaging or anything like that. I mean, it's some set pieces was okay, but most of it was like, yeah, you're fucking serious. Like, none of this engaging though. And that's the main conceit. I was just bored. with the whole thing.
So at least you didn't get any like spectacular visuals, i.e. disaster porn stuff, right?
Had had a lot of that. Because like you had again, it like much like 2012, no different from that. It's just all the landscape filling up, and again the usual a ton of special effects and oh look this city that you're familiar with mashing up on this landmark, and you had a shot with the moon in the background coming real close to the earth, and apparently I forget what you call it in real physics, but when something get close enough, it'll start affecting the gravity, which is in this case doesn't apply at all, but whatever. So apparently gravity does affect the thing. So when it has that gravity, like gravity pockets, I forget what they call it. But you see a sort of clouds fine up, and again, all of that is fine and dandy, and it's looking all good on my 17-inch monitor. It's fine. But none of it was engaging or holding my attention, and none of it was like, again, from a world building storytelling perspective, it wasn't that like interesting at all. Like in terms of like what it is should be appealed to. The whole AI trying to kill us stuff is old hat. If this came out 10 years ago, like if he came out with this like 2013, right after
2012, yeah.
Right. If he came out with this
that would have been interesting.
Right. Or even if he came out with this instead of Independence Day 2, right? It might have worked for me. But as it is, rubbish, right? Rating, like a 4 out of 10, maybe, or even lower. Closer to 3 probably. It really not worth your time or effort, to be honest. I was bored with the whole thing. I suppose if it's for the most casual of sci-fi fans who not like sci-fi nerds like me who have been around the block a few times, I was just rolling my eyes and just completely bored with the whole thing because none of it was interesting or engaging. But if you're a casual sci-fi fan, you might like this, maybe. Everybody was not interested. I forget what's his name, boy, is Patrick Halle Berry, and I forget the other guy's name. The overweight guy. It did a whole thing with him in the end, and because he was the conspiracy theorist who was proven right, the whole time. Now, you always have a character like that.
John Bradley, Game of Thrones. And I now seeing the lineup on Wikipedia. I was like, what? You in this too?
Yeah. Oh, should I say him? It's not Josh Gad or one of these guys. Josh Gad wasn't in this. It's one of these generic.
No. It's not him.
What's the guy's name? John Bradley. That's his name.
Yeah. He's from Game of Thrones. He's Samuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is what. Well, it's him. I now seen the pictures. Like, yeah, it's him. Again, my brain just like totally like throw these people in the back of the the back dustbin almost immediately after I watch it. I have no nothing else to say. It was pretty bad, kind of forgettable and unfortunate. It's a shame that they couldn't just do something more interesting than this. But again, I know who the director is, who's kind of half-assed the sci-fi anyway. So he's one of those people that sci-fi just ramp up itself so much in the last few years that audience members like me have no patience for his stuff, and you can't get away with that bullshit now. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, he's one of these old directors that are really not like keeping up with the times. It's unfortunate. But he still have all the money and whatever it is. So 4 out of 10. Moving on.
Yeah, I just feel similar to like a Michael Bay. He just put himself into this creative box where there's nowhere he could go outside of big budget action films that harkening back to the 90s.
But that's the thing. Exactly. You think you would just my thing with guys like him again. He could have done this with Independence Day 2 as well, right? As well, where
and thanks for reminding me that he made that film because that was a film that I removed from my brain right after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The decade.
But it's unfortunate. All they need is just somebody to punch up the script for them. Like it's utterly shocking how all these people have this much money and just cannot punch up a goddamn script to save their life. They just can't, like, nobody will sit down and say, hey, this not interesting enough. Hey, this not engaging enough. Let me just get somebody to punch it up. Like, even the MCU does do that. Like, I still think the MCU does, like, pretty, not bland, but, like, just kind of flat, basic, serviceable stuff. But then they'll ever so often just get somebody to punch up the script for them and you'll give you a really interesting, like, idea for the story. Like, what did they do with Doctor Strange, right? That's how I feel about him now. Anyway, moving on. Next,
right? Moving on. Right, so let's talk about some. Let me talk Oscars for a little while, Jared. So let me talk about thankfully for us, so I should say for me, since I was the only one who saw it. This is the last film that I'm going to talk about as far as Best Picture nominees for this year's Academy Awards, right? So I'm going to talk about Drive My Car, right? This is the newest film from, if I butcher the name, forgive me, Ryosuke Hamaguchi, right? So yes, right. This is a Japanese film. I was hearing about this for about the last few months since last year, Jed, and I'll talk about this later on, right? And a lot of people, had this up as one of the best movies of the year. You know what I mean? Top 5, number 1, all that kind of stuff, right? And top 10 and all that kind of stuff. So when you hear all that stuff, when you're hearing all this hype and all this praise and whatnot, for somebody like me now, I'm curious now, so I want to see what the big deal is, right? Now, of course, I'm not expecting this thing to be mind-blowing or whatever, right? But I want it to be impactful in some way, right? So I could see why people love this film so much, right? So about that, right? About what the film is about, right? So it's based off of this short story of the same name, right? So it's from this author by the name of Haruki Murakami, right? Again, if I butcher names, forgive me, right? Right. So it centers on this guy by the name of Yusuke, right? If I get the name wrong again,
Yusuke,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Yosuke.
Yosuke, right. And I watch anime. I'm supposed to be seeing these names like easy, right? Whatever.
Yeah, you probably still say Sasuke, right?
Sasuke-ku, whatever. Right. So he's an actor, but mainly he does like theater directing, right? So he was, I would say, because the show kind of starts with this flashback, right? He was working on this production of Waiting for Godot, right? Which is still a play that I still have no knowledge of. I have no clue what the story is about. I just always heard the word, right? Always heard the title, right? So that being said, now he is married to a screenwriter by the name of Otto, O-T-O, right? Mm-hmm. And you learn later on that she is, well, both of them basically dealing with the loss of their daughter, right? She died like some years ago and whatnot, right? Actually, like in the early 2000s, basically, right? And it's how this couple basically is dealing with it, right? So Otto, what she does basically is that she just comes up with these stories, right? But while Yosuke is doing his stuff now, Otto just kind of comes off. She just kind of comes off with these stories on the fly and just kind of feeds them to him. Now, like she's coming up with this idea, and with the intention, hopefully, to carry across the television and whatnot, right? So things seem to be good at the moment, right? And then, well, one day he just kind of comes home and, sees his wife with somebody else, right? But you're thinking, oh, Yosuke is going to flip out and do something. But no, he just kind of closes the door and leaves, right? So later on now, like just like a few days later on, literally, he comes back home and she's dead. She's found dead, right? And they had to reveal what the cause was and all that kind of stuff, right? So cut to 2 years later now, and he gets invited to work on this multilingual, I would say, adaptation of Uncle Vanya. That's another play. Have no clue what it's about, but I always heard the name of it, right?
Right.
And there's this rule basically where, so he has to move basically to Hiroshima, right? And there's this rule basically that the heads, the people who more or less running this production, says that he can't drive his way to work, right? Or to the set itself or whatever, right? Just some reasons, just company reasons. But it sounds weird, but it sounds legit, right? So they actually hire a driver, just a young woman, right, by the name of Koji, to do the job for them, right? So she basically drives him using his car. Basically, is this red, what type of car it was? Well, I just read it off here. This Saab 900. Not familiar with the car at all, right? But it's a pretty old car, right? But it's something that he uses, right? But it has a lot of emotional weight to him because, of course, this was a car that he had for years, and it always reminds him of his wife, right? There's also a little subplot involved. Not really a subplot, but there's a little bit, I should say, right? Where he would be listening to these tapes because Otto actually like records himself feeding lines of dialogue from Uncle Vanya, from Uncle Vanya, for him to memorize now. But they are ironically related to how their relationship was, right? Where it's kind of dead, right? They don't really feel the love as much as all I mean. Yeah, they just get down ever so often. Forgot to mention too, like when they get down, that's when she comes up with these stories, right? So it's during sex, right? Which is weird, but it's Japanese, right? And it had to be all provocative and shit, right? So, in a nutshell, the show is just mainly about Yosuke trying to just trying to move forward in life, right? He's dealing with this production. There's this young actor who is on board, and he seems to be really interested in Yosuke, and he's familiar with Otto. That's all I'll say at the moment. And also he just sparks this friendship, I would say, with Koji, and Koji herself has some deep rooted stuff about her as well. Like she's dealing with loss in her own way too, but she's just very silent, very to herself and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's just about these two individuals at the end of the day, just coming to terms with their own grief and finding a way to move forward in life. And that's the film, right? So just right off the bat, right? Sounds very compelling, very emotionally heavy and all that kind of stuff, right? And as I said before, I mean, it is quite provocative. Like just right down to Otto and the way how she comes up with these stories during sex and whatnot. All that is just like provocative stuff, right? So all that's interesting, right? And just seeing how this guy is dealing with grief and just deal with the fact that he could have done something when his wife was alive. He could have pulled her up on what she was doing, right? But he just know because of the death of their daughter that she was just going through trauma as well too, and he's going through trauma as well, but he just find this inability to communicate with each other, right? All that's great and whatnot, right? Very compelling, right? Just to get it good out of the way, right? Very well directed, right? It's also going up for best director, by the way. I forgot to mention that. And yeah, I mean, Ryusuke actually did a great job in terms of direction. Not a lot of camera movement, but where he puts his camera, where he frames the shots and all that, great, right? It's also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah.
I don't know the source material at all, so I can't see that, this film is a great adaptation of that story. But for what it's worth, I mean, the story is straightforward enough, right? You pretty much will understand what's going on. I mean, it is provocative at certain points, but, it's not to the detriment of the show, right? And acting-wise, I mean, for what it's worth, it's superb. I mean, just across the board, whether it's the guy who plays Yosuke or the actress who plays Otto, you know what I mean, and other side characters as well too. All that's great, right? Here's the issue that I have with this show, though. The biggest issue with this show, the glaring issue with this show, right? I have to explain myself carefully. So again, as I said before, a lot of hype surrounding this movie, right? Even by year's end, people talking about this show, Drive My Car, one of the best movies of the year, top 5, right? So much people put this up in the top 5 list, right?
All right.
I went into this completely blind. I just know 2 characters and a red cat. That's all I know, right? But I went in now knowing that this movie clocks in at I shouldn't say exactly. 1 minute shy of 3 hours, though.
Length, okay, all right.
Yeah. This is a long movie, though. And I will tell you, having sat through this movie, there was no reason for the show to be this long. None. But here's the catch, though. The director himself, actually, I found this out after the fact, right? He made a film called Happy Hour, right? Happy Hour.
Right.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that movie is 5 hours long.
Oh, Jesus.
5 hours long.
What kind of Russian act bullshit they doing?
And here's the catch, though. It's not no art film or nothing like that. It's a straightforward drama, and not no weird artsy stuff or nothing like that. No avant-garde stuff. It's straightforward drama, right? I don't know if it's the same way with Happy Hour, but with Drive My Car, because I was wondering, okay, well, it had to be something like real artsy and real profound about this thing for people to be praising so much. Nope. Straightforward. Right. Anybody could jump into this and understand it. But my God, boy, that 3-hour runtime is a chore, dog. They're I'll put it like this, right? And this is not me insulting the film, right? You could have taken out an hour of that film.
Wow.
1 hour. And you wouldn't have even missed it, right? That's how it is. Because, I just watching this thing now, all right, well, the characters where they are, okay, I get, all right. Going through grief, okay, I can understand that. I actually can relate to that, yes. But they have these moments where it's just, it's just okay, we they go in for the slice of life kind of thing. So you're seeing characters in the element, you're seeing them how they meet with other people and when they interact with other people, all that kind of stuff. But still, the movie just moves at this glacial pace, and I'm there all right, but get to the point already, get to the point. And the point, actually, I mean, like when the characters themselves, the main characters, actually come to this realization they have to move forward in life. It's beautiful, right? It's great, right?
Yeah.
And it even shows up in the Uncle Vanya production as well too, because what they do is that the production itself is supposed to mirror what's going on in Yosuke's life, right?
Right.
And it starts off before with him listening to his wife feeding him lines, right? But it goes beyond that. It goes to when he, confronts this new actor, him meeting not Otto, Koji and all this stuff, right? All that's cool, Dread. But geez, Dread, you could have tell that whole story in 2 hours. There was no reason for this movie to be 3, Dread,
Wow.
So I'm sorry, like for me, I was just watching this and like I wasn't bored or anything like that, but in the back of my mind, I was just like, this is what I'm going to jump into now for a while, right? This is what people was praising. This is what people were putting on this pedestal and seeing was one of the top 5 movies of the year. Because think about that, the top 5, that's right up there. And I'm watching this thing, but like, do this normal, like nothing really spectacular. Yeah, nothing spectacular in terms of story, nothing spectacular in terms of twists. There's actually a particular twist that takes place and literally you see that coming a mile away, Dread, right? When this new actor shows up and talks about how, he was, so influenced by Yosuke's right and Otto's right. Like the moment he dropped that, I was like, all right, I know where this is going to go. And it happened. I was like, all right, well, still, like I was expecting some kind of crazy thing to happen. Again, nothing, right? And what I feel going on behind the scenes, right? So this is just my speculation, right? The Academy Awards themselves, right? The Academy, sir, right? Remember 2 years ago, there was Parasite, right?
Right.
2019. It was our favorite movie of 2019, right?
Yeah.
Remember the huge amount of praise that movie got, right? So I mean, it was still it was a surprise to me. But when it was nominated for Best Picture, I was like, what? Okay, a South Korean movie, what? And then it won. I was like, okay. But still, it was a surprise now. Like I don't think it ever happened in Oscar history, right? But I think what the Academy did here was just jump on this drive my car hype train, or say drive my hype train,
right?
Because of all the praise this movie was getting, and say, all right, cool. Because of all that praise, you're gonna put this as Best Picture nominee. Right. But here's the problem now. People like me now who hearing about this hype for months and months and months now, gonna go into this thing expecting this thing to be some kind of revolutionary something. And what I mean revolutionary, like look at say Parasite, for example, right? It was just how well told and well acted and well structured everything was, right? And I mean, it was a story that anybody could relate to, but it was just told in this unique, well, I want to say unique in, I would just say distinct kind of way, right? It wasn't totally different, but it was like, you don't see films like this these days, but it was just done so well.
Yeah.
Here's just normal. No big twists, no big surprises. Maybe ever so often they might have a couple of envelope pushing moments, but nothing really to go crazy over. Yes, I understand it's about grief and about loss, but I mean, if you've seen one film about grief or loss, then you kind of know where the show is going to go. I already tell you how the movie going to end, right? But still, people are just going to go into this thing with their expectations high, right? Because of all the praise this movie is getting, right? And then again, you're putting it right to the tip top Best Picture, right? And sorry, I just came out of this like, well, yeah, it was cool, but it's not a show I can remember. It's not a show I think we're gonna win Best Picture at all. That being said, though, if it wins Best International Feature Film, well, cool, okay, well, all right, that will be interesting. I haven't seen any of the other films in that category, but if it wins, okay, cool. But other than that, though, for you to say Best Picture, Dread, it had to have something more. It had to have some kind of quality that people remember when you come up, when you finish watch this. I watched a review of this and people just saying because of how, it's just how the story sneaks up on you and just how, it just kind of moves at kind of a casual pace, and then things would happen and it would change the way how you look at the characters and all that kind of stuff. Again, all that is fine, but I'm not seeing anything different. I'm not seeing anything unique. I'm not seeing anything mind-blowing. That's something like, wow, okay, this is really, really cool. This is, I would recommend this to people. Like, look at this. But no, I just saw this basic, straightforward drama, right? But again, 3 hours, dog. Like,
Yeah,
again, too long, way too long. So for you, Ricardo, I know you haven't seen it, right? I don't know what you will take out of it, right? Maybe you might be impressed by the storytelling. Maybe you might be impressed by where the story goes and the acting and all that kind of stuff, right? Cool, right? But I already know, Dread, that runtime is gonna get to you. That runtime is gonna get to you. It's gonna get to anybody who watches this film, Dread. But I feel, and I'll wrap up here, I feel some people will go in knowing about the runtime and just, again, jump on that hype train. Just kind of block everything out and be like, well, no, because everything is justified. That runtime is justified because, it's about those characters and the life and all that kind of stuff. Again, I get that, but no, not with that length, Dread. If it was a Hollywood film, Dread, like some script doctor would have been like, no, cut an hour out of that one time, Dread. Because again, you bring in audiences to sit down and watch this show, Dread. You could tell a whole story in 2 hours, even 2.5 max, Dread. But 3, no, Dread. No.
I mean, I'll see it I'll eventually see it for myself to see what it is, the cases with respect to usually when you have like stuff that extra long, you're wondering, right, how much is this filler time purposes, and it might have some interesting character moments or beats, maybe, but an extra hour, you saying a whole hour, that's real time, real time.
Just the more I think about it, I was like, take a full hour of that, Dread, make it 2 hours, and you would have hit that point quicker. Right. And it's a great point, but again, it's a length of time you had to wait for it, right? So I don't know. But for me though, what makes this even more interesting, and I'll wrap up here, is that I've not seen that much reviews, like new reviews of it so far, right? Especially as it's leading up to the Oscar ceremony, right? But I am curious to see how people respond to it now that it's out digitally, right? Now that it's on HBO Max and people could see it, right?
Right.
And I want to see people like really honestly look at this show, come out of it and say, yes, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. I want to hear why. If you give me a good legit reason why, I'd be like, okay, I should rewatch this show, Dread. But for me, what I saw was just plain, simple, ordinary, I don't want to say by the numbers, but just plain and simple storytelling, Dread. Nothing too major or revolutionary or anything like that, Dread. So,
I mean, we had this movie last year. I want to say last year. There's a Minari, right?
Yeah.
And like that was like one of those that was it was good but underwhelming because I was expecting something more, drama. But it wasn't.
Yeah, it was expecting more drama, but it was more like,
just a slice of life.
Slice of life thing. Yeah.
Right, slice of life. But it still worked. But that wasn't 3 hours. Like that wasn't. And that's what.
And remember, it had a great team. I mean, it was all about Americana, where it was set in the 80s and all that kind of stuff. And it was this Korean family.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting how we having these conversations as main films and not just international film. Because yes, let it be clear, we do treat the international film and we still have a very strong American bias with these films. I'm not sure to get it to Best Picture is a whole different story. I don't know. We'll see.
Agreed. Yeah. And what I'm wondering too as well. Don't worry, you're gonna wrap up. What I'm also wondering too. I hate to say this, Dread. I hate to say this, but is it because it's Japanese? Is it because it's non-Hollywood? Is this the reason why people love this film so much? Like, oh my God, like you don't see Hollywood dramas like going this deep and explore a character.
Right.
I'm sorry, I've seen Hollywood dramas that explore characters in faster time, and it still gets to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But again, the length, that's the thing. Like, I just want people to talk about that length. People had to tell me if that length is justified or not. Right. But for me, it isn't. But again, I want you to see it. Maybe when time come now for our recap of the Oscars or something like that. Maybe you could tell me, I could see where you're coming from, Matt.
Right.
Whatever, right?
Right.
So at the moment, I am going to give this, for me, being honest, right? I'm going to give this a decent, strong 3 out of 5. It's for what it is. Maybe along the way, maybe down the line, I might watch it again and I might bump it up to a 4 or maybe a 4.5 or God forbid a 5. But for now, I just do not see what the big deal is with this movie. Somebody had to sit down and tell me why the show is so great. I don't want you to tell me, well, because it's non-Hollywood and, you don't see... No. And you had to tell me why this movie runs at 179 minutes, including credits. You all had to tell me the justification behind that. Somebody had to tell me that, Trent. If you could convince me that this movie deserves to be one of the best ever, then okay. But for now, it is what it is, Trent. I'm sorry. I just don't buy into the hype, Trent. I'm sorry. I just don't. But that's not me dumping on the show, though. It's just I just don't get it, right? But for me, I'll be happy if it wins Best International Feature Film at least. That would be cool if it wins that. Although I still want to see the other 4 and I could make my judgment. But if it wins, cool, right? The Best Director is well deserved as well too. I think that Ryosuke did a great job, right? Behind the camera and whatnot. But Best Picture, boy. I think this is the Academy's way of seeing. Maybe we could have another Parasite in our hands. But sorry, this ain't no Parasite. See, this ain't no Parasite, right? And I'm gonna stop there.
Okay.